tell me we're ready to go with another episode of What's Good Under the Hood. Right there is Greg Hood. I'm pointing in the right direction.
You hit me right in the eye.
From Mazda of Columbia. And over there under the Fox Sports Radio 1400 banner, Rob Sanders. My name's Andy. As you see.
Andy.
Rob,
Yeah.
take off your hat for the folks.
Oh God, I got to.
Oh no!
I-
Oh, that's right, because
I
you
look
did.
like-
You had your kid
I
shave
look
your
like
head,
a
didn't you?
giant thumb.
It's growing back pretty
It's
darn
growing
fast.
back pretty fast, but we raised like $1,200 for the folks down at the NICU.
That's pretty nice.
And yeah, it's actually kind of cool because they have like a different fund set up there for single parents that they may not have certain little things or whatever, and that's what this went to. Very specialized, very cool that we were able to do that. And now I don't have any hair.
I have a suggestion.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
If you got a Sharpie,
Mhm.
draw 3 little dots on your head. You will look like a bowling ball at that point.
Well-
No, we'll just put right Mazda Columbia on the top of his head.
You know, I might have to do that. But the daughter shaved my eyebrows too.
I didn't notice that.
We shaved the eye. Well, that's because I have blonde eyebrows. And
Dude, you should paint them back on in black.
I know. I was
You should totally paint on some eyebrows.
No, but yeah, but they shaved the eyebrows, and the next bit they want to wax my arms for the next charity event. Do that live on the show. Just
Glad you said arms.
I was
getting-
thinking,
arms,
yeah,
man.
or maybe my legs. I might do my legs. I don't have a problem with that. Andy tells me I have the best legs ever.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said
My
you have
daughter's
great-
an esthetician, and the other day she goes, "Oh, Dad, I got to do a Brazilian on Thursday." She just doesn't like it.
Her friend, I asked her friend because we were down at the Morgan Wallen concert, and I said I was married to an esthetician one time, and she told me there are horror stories about things she had to do, and her friend Mahaley,
yeah,
she said I was giving someone a Brazilian once, and
do you need to tell this story?
I mean, because you really shouldn't go down this road, Andy, because
let's not talk about
you
that.
probably should.
We probably shouldn't
right.
get into that because my Brazilian story would trump all. But anyway,
Yeah,
we don't
there
have
you
to get
go.
into
Let's
that.
talk about what's good under the freaking hood.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so hey, I've got great stuff for us because these are things that I want to know, and
I need to stop. I need to
Sure.
stop. I in case people listened to this and didn't see the little disclaimer on the bottom of 2 podcasts ago. In my rant, I was talking about the amount of oil. I made an error, and it was 500. I said 500 million barrels a day.
I heard you say that.
It was 500,000, not million. I made a mistake. The bottom line is, it actually turns out to be between crude and sweet oil about 704,000 barrels of oil a day that we import, not 500,000. I did a little more research because I'm like, when I rolled out of here, I thought something's wrong. That seemed like the wrong number. So
do you know the difference between sweet and crude? I don't.
the taste.
that's where I was going. I thought
That's pretty darn simple.
If you're skinny like Andy, you go with the crude.
Ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer.
If you're
Sweet like
you're,
me.
you're chunky like you and I are, you go with the other.
Yeah.
There you go. Anything else you want to know,
That
Andy?
answered that, didn't it, Andy?
I just leave it alone. I go back to my esthetician story if you
No,
like.
no.
No.
All right.
No, we're good.
Look, why don't we talk about and I sent this to Greg, and it's something that it's one of those questions that I know that Greg's going to give us a good answer on because he deals with all of this a lot. There's a story that came out about do you think it's cheaper to fill a gas powered vehicle than to charge an electric one? And I think there's basically 2 sides to that, right?
No, there's really only one.
Oh, okay.
And the one is that I'm going to go back and say it one more time. When we read these articles, it's funny, in the old days, I used to read an article and go, oh, that's interesting. That has an interesting thought. And now I go and I look at an article and I look at what did they omit and why did they omit it?
Or who wrote it? I mean, that's kind of a big thing with
Well,
me too.
that too.
Where
But
did
so
it come from?
This website was one, I think it was called Verify. And what they were trying to do is, verify that, what the numbers are on gas versus electric cars.
Just really quick on that. This is from WLTX, and they subscribe to Verify is
Okay.
kind of the way that it works to fact check, quote unquote, certain things. And just the way that this came out was just kind of silly.
Well, here's the silliness. If the one thing that they didn't do, and Car and Driver did about a year and a half or 2 years ago, they did a complete comparison, and they did a comparison of a mini electric vehicle and a mini non-electric, and then they did a Hyundai Kona electric and a Hyundai Kona either hybrid or regular gas. I don't remember that portion of it, But they did the comparison, and it turned out that the electric vehicle at that point was a lot more expensive to own and operate. But the problem with the article is it's focused on one thing, and it's focused on how many cents per mile does it cost you to operate a vehicle. Well, here's the funny part. So it says it's about 5 cents a mile for electricity, and it is 17 cents a mile for gas. But that's based upon gas prices right now. And the thing that article took lightly into account, but they didn't really do the calculation on it, was that there's 3 levels of charging on an electric vehicle. You have 110, just a slow charger at home. You have a stage 2, which is a faster charge. And then you have a stage 3, which you can charge your car in about 20 to 30 minutes. So, and I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that when you see a Tesla or any of these charge point stations, you'll see like at Walmart or whatever that they put in, that they are a system that is a stage 3, so they can charge you faster. The downside of a stage 3 is your battery life is less. And I saw something really interesting that said that the average life of a battery on electric vehicles should be about 17 years or 200,000 miles.
But if you fast charge it all the time, that's going to cut that dramatically.
Right. Well, they claim you're going to diminish it by 10%, your range by 10%. But here's my issue with I'm going to start with the battery. I love it when they make projections of how long something will last, because I can't tell you how many LED bulbs I've bought that said that they've got they'll last, 15 years or 20 years. And I put up a whole bunch of them on the showroom floor in another dealership I was in, and within a week, two of them blew up. So they didn't quite make it to 20 years. But the next question is, how do they know? They haven't gone 20 years. So how do they know it's going to last 17 years? But then so that 5 cents isn't taking into consideration whether or not you're going to have to buy new batteries for the car, whether you have to buy a new electric engine for the car. That's strictly on charging. And I'm not sure whether they averaged it or not. But here's what I will tell you is an issue. So my general sales manager at work was talking to me, and he wanted to buy an electric car for his wife. And I kind of questioned it. I said, why not a hybrid instead of an electric? And he said, well, I don't know. And then, of course, we took in a Tesla Y in trade. That's a pretty cool car. And he goes, oh, that's it. I'll buy that for my wife. Well, he came to work the other day, and he forgot to plug it in when he got to work. And he didn't get it on a full charge. And when he got to work, he forgot to plug it in. And he was going home, and he looked down, and he was at 3%.
Uh-oh.
So he pulled into either his in-laws or his parents' house, and he put it on the charger, and they had a 110 charger. He plugged it in, or he plugged the 110 charger he had in, and he sat there for about an hour, and it barely moved the needle, and only put, a couple percent charge, not even enough to get him home. He had to call his wife to come get him and leave the car there charging, and then go back the next morning to get it. And it still, that didn't give it a full charge. So there's a lot of things that go into what you think about when you buy an electric vehicle. And now he's leaning toward a hybrid. He goes, I don't know that I want that. And the guy that traded it in actually said the reason he traded, he loved the car, but he said he couldn't find enough places to charge it for what his use was. He put 21,000 miles on it, I believe. And he said it was just a struggle. So he traded it on a different car. So the problem with these articles that are so slanted toward one thing, they're not making people think about the whole picture. And let's add one more thing.
I don't think they want people to think about the whole picture.
They don't, because that furthers that agenda of, well, we should go out and buy an electric car. And I think Psaki said it the other day. Jen Psaki said it on TV. And I think even Miss Harris said it on TV when she was talking, that we should all just not worry about gas prices and go buy an electric vehicle.
I stopped drinking sake simply because I don't like her that intently.
Thank you.
Stop sake.
But I will say this. Sometimes you can see her. She wasn't originally a redhead.
No, she wasn't. She got bad roots going on.
To go back to the old ways.
She is a twin of one of the salespersons here.
Easy.
Yeah. What?
Easy.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Not mentally, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop right there.
Anyway, the point about all of that information to go out and buy, and this is where it leads into that article, to go out and buy a electric vehicle is probably $20,000 to $30,000 more than a non-electric vehicle. It's just not that easy. And even if they give you a tax credit, what if you don't need a tax credit?
Well, I sent you this earlier today, and one of the final things that I put in there, and I actually entitled it "Random Shit," is it seems more and more like, especially with what you were talking about, that the government and several other folks are just trying to push us to get into that EV sector.
Well, they are. That's the green agenda.
But does that affect you how does that affect you as a guy that sells cars?
Well, I'll be selling electric vehicles if that whole push goes to that level. I mean, if internal engines go away, and listen, I'm going to say it straight up. I have nothing against an electric vehicle. I know that I've kind of poured some fuel on the top of some of them in these conversations, but generally it has to do with the periphery, not the car itself. It has to do with the agenda. It has to do with marketing. It has to do with the decisions are made for us of whether of how we buy cars and all that. But we haven't solved the problem even electrically when you talk about global or climate change, because how is the power generated? You go to Lake Murray here, and there's hydroelectric power plant right behind. It's a coal burning facility.
That's kind of the thing that gets me a little bit with it. And I think I've talked about this. I've got a friend up in North Carolina that his feelings are completely to the left. He's an environmentalist type guy, and he's worried about the ozone layer and all that. And all that's very important to him. And he even says buying an electric car is silly because you're still giving a huge carbon footprint with it. So, but we're told that it's so much better for the environment when in reality, it's just not.
You got to make the electricity.
Exactly.
You got to make it some way.
You got to make the batteries. Now, they are saying the projection is that the batteries within probably 10 years will be organic material, and we won't have to be concerned about the disposal of them. But what happens between now and then?
And what happens to the performance of the organic materials? Is it going to be as good and long lasting as what they're putting out now?
You look at our technology and the way things go. Manufacturing and development, R&D does a pretty darn good job. And if they're on to it now, they'll make it happen. It may be a little bit diminished, but the good news is it's something that's replaceable, and it's something that can be recycled or put somewhere where it's not creating a problem.
The balloon period is still the problem, though. I mean, when you really stop and think about it, like if you go and buy a new iPhone and you're one of those idiots that stands in front of the store and you're buying it like the day of before they come out with the quote unquote revised version that fixes all the bugs. I mean, that's kind of the same theory. You're going to end up with something that may have some flaws in it that haven't been tested.
And if you're one of those people that waits outside for hours, please don't be offended that Rob Sanders just called you an idiot.
You're an absolute idiot. If you're standing outside of an iPhone store and you're waiting like for concert tickets like Andy did in the 80s, that's just crazy. You should have your own cave.
Only for the Debbie Gibson show.
Of course.
Well, that's understandable.
Look, I was thinking about this, Greg, and this is a real question. And I'm a guy that likes the internal combustion car. Maybe I'm just the old man yelling at the sky, but I think I've figured out something that I can do that will appease my friends that are to the left of the spectrum. And I'm hoping you can help me with this. I want a Tesla that has been modified to have a diesel engine. Can you help me with that? No. Damn it, Greg.
No help. No,
that's what I want. Can you imagine somebody rolling up with a Tesla with a diesel engine on it?
I guarantee. I saw somebody changed the motor in one of them, and I don't remember what they put in it. But yeah, once the internals are dead, I did read somewhere that some Tesla has gone 750,000 miles. They also admitted in that article that they have changed several motors and several battery packs. And I got to be honest with you, I have no idea what a battery pack for a Tesla costs,
right?
But I guarantee you it's not on the side of cheap.
They just got more expensive too because Elon raised the prices, and he also said pump more oil too.
Normally Greg's such a positive person, but he just flat out, nope, not helping you with that, Rob. You could take that on up the river.
Elon did say to pump more oil.
He did.
Well, Elon does think with common sense once in a while. I mean, and he understands the deal. I think it's very, very sad that our government doesn't even involve him in conversations when he was the one that truly developed the car. So, I can support what he's trying to do. What he did was appeal to a demand. What the rest of them are doing it's force feeding us a car. The performance of a Tesla Plaid, which does a quarter mile in some crazy, you put it in ludicrous mode and it's 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds and all that stuff. Faster than about anything on the planet. That has some value, and the value is that somebody wants to have that car. And if you make really cool stuff, people will buy really cool stuff.
Let them make their own decision.
Yeah, but when you make a turd with wheels and put a battery in it, I mean, what's the point? And charge $40,000 for it? What's the point of that? And it has to be subsidized.
The point of it is
subsidized before anybody can even come close to affording it.
The point of it is so people can virtue signal. Look what I'm doing. I'm driving an electric car.
That's always been going on, whether you're, driving a Porsche or whatever.
Mask. or wearing a
Or
mask.
wearing a mask.
Speaking of virtue signaling, but that's just my opinion. Sorry, didn't
Nothing
want to
wrong with a
derail.
mask. Nothing wrong with one when you're robbing a bank. There's nothing wrong with a mask. I highly recommend it.
Well, I still wonder about the whole thing with the electric cars, and I know that we're
We're knee deep in it now.
right, and I get that, but it's just like, if you want an electric car, and I understand you should have the opportunity to go and get that, but if you're just going to get it as far as it's going to help the environment, then I hate to use this term, but you're just misinformed. That's just kind of the way that I feel about it. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
I like the technology and the quickness of the Teslas. The technology,
They're awesome.
it really is.
Yeah. I mean, I love the big screen. Like I
Yeah.
said, I think we were talking about it. The stereo in the one I was in was just phenomenal, and mostly because it probably didn't have noise coming back from the motor that was, entering into the cabinet, and they're
Right.
pretty quiet rides. So, there's lots of wins in that, and there's the idea that technology is moving forward is terrific. The idea that electricity versus, it's easier to produce electricity probably is to produce oil, but nonetheless, I'm a supporter of it as long as we're not being forced to do it.
And there you go. Please like, subscribe, and share the show as you see the crawl underneath the.
Please do.
Please do, and thank you for your cooperation. You can catch us on YouTube.
YouTube,
And
Spotify. Where else are we? We're everywhere, aren't we?
Spotify, the iHeartRadio app.
are we on the iHeartRadio app?
You're
now?
all, we're also on iTunes. So, you folks that waited for that phone, you don't have to wait for the phone. You can just have it pop up right in your podcast feed. There you
It's
go.
so exciting.
It's
It is
what's
exciting.
good under the hood. Thanks for joining us for another episode this afternoon or today or this morning, whenever
Whenever you're watching.